And there we are. These are called Lume Cubes. These are something that we light with, all right? These help us to communicate, right? They help me light the room, make videos, all that good stuff. I'm just going to use one tonight. I have it over there. Hey, I see you guys in there. Joshua, Walid, DeLion, Jesse, I see you guys. Everybody popping right in there. I'm going to tell you a few secrets tonight. These Lume Cubes, these are called Lume Cubes, but these are not exactly how you rule the world. I'm going to tell you tonight how to rule the world. All right? I am not here to tell you that you should rule the world. No, I see you in there, Andy. Greetings, guys. Good evening. Peace. Because speaking of peace, people that are for peace are not out to rule the world. I don't want to rule the world. I hope you don't want to rule the world. But what I do want is for the world to be free. I want the world to love their neighbor. I want the world to have justice. All right? But I do have something important. The first thing I want to say, and I'm not BSing you guys on this. I'm actually going to tell you how the world has been taken over by tyrants. Now, the root of this, it goes to the heart, right? It goes to evil. Evil's always good at taking over. This is like a black and white. This is a Jesus and Satan thing for those of us that believe. But that's not where I'm going with this tonight. That's right, Jesse. We want to be part of improving the world. But to be a part of improving the world, and the reason I'm saying this tonight, is we need to understand what's really happening, right? There was another terror attack. Now, understand that I have great compassion for anybody who dies in these attacks. I do believe that people are actually dying, and I don't believe for a minute that what we're being told is correct. Bear in mind that ISIS, terrorism, is this mythical beast that was created by government who terrorizes people all over the world, okay? The U.S. government, the Blue Line, Blue Syndicate, Blue ISIS, they're the terrorists, right? Our government is the one who created the idea of ISIS. And so what do? Every now and then there's a shooting. This gets the more left-leaning people that want to oppose guns on board. And then to get the right-leaning people, right? The right-leaning people, they go for the hate against brown people, Muslims, right? So they fall for that. So what do they give for the right? They give people in trucks running people over, right? They give that to one side, they give mass shootings to the other, and they flip-flop back and forth with these narratives. Have you noticed this? Are you picking this up yet? They have both, because this covers both sides of the spectrum, both sides of the faction, okay? But I'm going to come back to that. I've got a focus idea for you guys tonight, and I'm going to explain to you how to rule the world by talking about a phone. Which phone do you think I'm going to talk about? Okay? Now, this could apply to anything, but I was watching videos about phones tonight, and I was thinking, wow, that's how they rule the world. And that phone I'm going to talk about is the Apple iPhone X, all right? Now, the message here is not an Apple conspiracy theory. Thanks, guys. The message here is not an Apple conspiracy theory. The message is simply how marketing works and how they take over the narrative. I was on YouTube today. Now, this iPhone X that is supposedly way back order, right? I want you to think about this. Bear with me even if you don't like Apple, all right? They come out with this iPhone that's marginally better than the last iPhone. So the iPhone 8 is marginally better than the iPhone 7, which is a phone that I did have, but that was stolen from me by Officer Kennedy, and now a prosecutor is trying to force me at the point of a gun to unlock that phone so that he can root around for something to charge me with. There's other videos on that. Right now, I'm on an iPhone 6S. Does it mean the iPhone's the best phone? Not necessarily. It happens to work good for what I do. Now, this isn't a phone review. I'm not falling for that game. Enter the iPhone X. The iPhone X is unique. It's different. It catches people's attention. Now, Apple's a company who for years and years and years has been highly secretive about its releases. But miraculously with the iPhone X, there's tons of leaks, months and months in advance, that are dead on. Now, I was sitting there watching all these leaks, and I'm like, does anybody think these leaks are an accident? This is marketing brilliance, but it doesn't stop there. You have all these leaks, and then this phone comes out and they announce it, and the iPhone 8's kind of a mediocre filler placeholder, and the iPhone 10 is what people want, but they say, oh, it's going to be incredibly back-ordered, we can't get the production out. Now, whether that's intentional or not, we don't know, but what we do know is this iPhone, everybody's rushing to pre-order it in the middle of the night last Friday, so they don't have to wait for months or even up to a year, perhaps, to get the new iPhone 10. In fact, the new iPhone 10 could theoretically be back-ordered until the iPhone 11. That's what the tech pundits say. Did I say that fast enough for you guys? Because I'm trying to get through this part. Now, fast forward to today, and all these reviews, the iPhone 10's due out in a few days, but all these reviews are popping out from these bloggers, people that have YouTube channels that have a lot of followers, are getting special early previews of this phone, i.e. Apple's probably giving them one. They did this secret preview yesterday, and then today they're out there doing these full reviews, but these aren't so much tech journalists as they are celebrity vloggers rather. Now, Apple did not give me one of these. I don't think I fit the category. To be fair, I have pulled over cops with an iPhone, but I don't seem to get any special points from Apple for that. And that's okay. I don't need perks to do reviews. Here's the point. This is what I'm getting at. And I'm going to bring this all together, and I'm going to keep it at around 10 minutes tonight for the main point. All right? Apple released a phone before release day, one of the most hotly discussed phones ever. Whether you love it or hate it is irrelevant. Then Apple leaks out information to keep that buzz alive, and then normally this phone will come out, and there's lots of people saying, I don't know if this phone's going to be as good as they say. This phone is highly expensive. All right? The phone's expensive, so what does Apple do? Apple gives certain people the special privilege to review the phone early. Now, 2 days from now, the mainstream in-depth tech reviewers will pick the phone apart for better or for worse, right? That's normal. What did Apple just do? Does anybody know what Apple just did? Apple just took the narrative. Apple put the news about the phone out there with the people that would be excited and say, for the most part, what Apple wanted them to say. That's what Apple did. Apple took the narrative. How does this go to controlling the world? Well, now I'm going to get to the part where I tell you how you rule the world. The government is doing the same thing. They're doing the same thing with their lies about attacks like Vegas, as they make up false narratives that don't actually fit what happened. What did happen? We don't know. I have another viral video about some inconsistencies with Las Vegas, and we could talk about that at length. We could talk about the attack today. We could talk about all these terrorist attacks. One thing we can prove, the Blue Line are the #1 most violent terrorists in all of the nation, period. They kill more than all the terror attacks combined. In fact, it's not even close. Thanks, Jesse. So here's an organization, right? The minions, the enforcers of the government that kill 1,000 people a year, imprison hundreds of thousands, that injure, hang on, I'm grabbing the other light, what a night, that injure somewhere around probably 50,000 people every year, right? What does that mean? What does that all mean? Well, it means that the government is the terrorists. And so what are they doing? They're giving you terrorists to hate. They're giving you things to fear. And so while on the one hand, they're creating terror, on the very next hand, they're giving you solutions. They're saying, we need to protect you by doing X, Y, and Z. We need this law. We need that law. We need a Patriot Act. We need a non-Patriot Act. We need a Freedom Act. We need a Protection Act. We need special rules to protect the rule enforcers. We need special laws to where if you oppose the policymakers, you go to prison. If you use your free speech in a way we don't like, you go to prison, like the Bundys, like Schaefer Cox, like the Natives, like Jeff Winehouse. You see what's happening here? How you rule the world is you own the narrative. This is marketing. The story I told you about the iPhone is marketing. I live and breathe marketing every day in my day job. Communication, whether visual or audio, that's my #1 area. And communication is marketing. They rule the world because they control your minds by telling you things that affect you psychologically. You may even think you're resisting, and you may be. But those things are still having an effect. In your mind, you still wonder if Muslims are going to kill us all, maybe. Somewhere back in there. What would we do without the police? Now, it's irrational to say, what would we do without the current police? Because without the current police, terror would go down in this country about 99%, maybe more. Fact. The police terrorize the nation. And if you don't believe me, think about what you think next time you're driving down the road thinking and you look in your rearview mirror and you think you see a cop. Think about that. So they're using marketing. You see, the government is using the same marketing that Apple is using, that Samsung is using, that Sony is using, that Chevrolet is using, and that they have been using. And they've been refining this for years and years and years. Now, the commercial market drives the concepts of marketing to a degree, and so does the control market. The tactics for telling the truth are actually the same as the tactics for telling a lie. It's just that the people telling the lies have been stealing your money at the point of a gun for so long that they have unlimited resources to tell a lie. And if you repeat a lie often enough, people will believe it. And if you have the resources to repeat it times 10,000, people will believe it even more. Now, the love is always the truth, and the truth in the end will come out, but it may be after all of this is gone and Jesus comes back and they take people like you and me away. But here's what I want you to know. We just talked about how you rule the world. How the U.S. government, the terrorists of the world, along with their buddies, control this whole message. And we just compared that to a mainstream company. And I'm not saying that mainstream company is the one doing the ruling of the world. I'm not saying they're necessarily good either. Most large corporations have a lack of character. I'm saying the tactics are the same, and you need to understand the tactics, and you need to learn to be able to see the tactics. When you see a mass shooting, they say, look, terrorists. And the left says we need to take away guns. And the right says they're trying to take away our guns. And we have a prefrontal coming in and they clash together. And it causes more conflict, which is exactly what these people want. Then you have a truck running over people with somebody yelling Allah Akbar. Now, it's, of course, nobody wants to talk about the fact that all they have to do is send in a cop driving a truck or a CIA agent driving a truck and yelling this and running people over. We know that our government has no problem killing innocent women and children because the blue line does it more than any faction in the entire nation. Fact. All right? So you know they have no problem. You know the police officers and the government and the feds and the CIA have no problem killing innocent women and children. So why do you think it's some foreign agency necessarily coming over here and doing this and not completely set up by our own government? Well, that's something to ask yourself. But what you know either way is they're getting the narrative they want. And when the car is running over people, the left may not get quite as excited because nobody wants to ban cars. But guess what? When the guns are going off, the left is saying ban guns and they divide against the right. And when the cars are running people over, the right is saying ban Muslims and they divide against the left. It's a divide and conquer tactic. It goes all the way back to Sun Tzu. It goes far beyond him, back to Satan. But this is marketing. They're showing people what they want. And the people in here that are ignorant of these fundamentals of marketing, they choose to be slaves. Because all you have to do, you don't have to study conspiracy. This isn't a conspiracy theory. These are the fundamental principles of how you sell something, of how you convince people of an idea, and yes, of how you rule the world. So those are some things to think about tonight. I'm going to go spend some time with my kids. I just told you in 15 minutes how to rule the world. Instead of ruling the world, go out there and take those messages, own the narrative, speak out against Blue ISIS, take it back. Because while they spend billions of dollars to convince billions of people that their lies are truth, millions of people can spend minimal dollars using things like this phone right here to convince billions of people that the truth is actually the truth. That's how you rule the world. Peace, guys. Have a good night.